Dear students, welcome to this session. This video lecturing is prepared by Galila International Seminary for the course Managing Change. In this course, you will find some points or some of the major areas of the course covered are organizational change management, models of organizational change, communicating change, process of change management, resistant to change, implementing change, strategies for implementing change, leading change, maintaining organizational effectiveness, evaluating organizational change, change agent, culture and change, individual change, organizational learning and organizational organizations are organizational learning and learning organization are some of the points expected to be covered in this course. To begin with, organizational change management. 3 points are here. One is organization, another point is change, another point is management. Change is a phenomenon that pushes us or a person out of a comfort zone. This change is ubiquitous and change is inevitable. So therefore, people should not struggle to stop change, rather to cope up with the change by using appropriate way of managing that change. So management is an art of getting things done. So how you bring change productive and constructive is one of the mechanisms which is used by the competence of the manager. So change management is implementing significant change in an organized and systematic manner. Why change management is important? For 2 reasons. One is to ensure that people and the culture are aligned with strategic shifts in the organization. The second point is to reduce impediments to change and increase engagement so that the transformation is more effective. What does it mean by organizational transformation? Organizational transformation refers to re-engineering the organization, redesigning the organization, redefining business system. It's radical shift. It's not a kind of modification. It is not a kind of reshuffling of the position or posts, but it is redefining, redesigning, re-engineering. So organizational transformation is a radical change who takes an organization as a new and different level of structure and functioning. When there is effective transformation, there is radical change. When there is effective organizational transformation, that organization taken to new and different level of structure and functioning. So it occurs when new business strategies are introduced and implemented. Thus, the key enablers for transforming organizations are information and technology. In order to ensure organizational transformation, what we expect from organization itself? Organization must be flexible. Organization must be efficient. Organization must be effective. Second, organization must have customer-centric approach to organizational activities, not individual-centered. It has to be organization-centered. Organization must create a more productive environment by recognition of current strengths, understand and position themselves to reap the benefit to competitive technology and business assignment. The other point is organization must promote an integrated business approach. What are types of change. There are two kinds of change. One is transactional change, another point is transformational change. Transactional change is first order change. It is related with continuity in the organization, maintaining the existing reality. It involves adjustment in systems, process, or structure, not fundamental change. The opposite of this transactional change is transformational change. This is second order change, discontinuous in nature. It doesn't maintain the existing reality as it is. So this one is related with altering the organization from its core. What's the core point of the organization? That core point must be what? Must be changed. So transformational change occurs in response to or anticipation of significant changes in an organization's environment or technology. When there is change in the environment, when there is technology, when there is a kind of change in that organization, you'll find in response to or anticipation of significant change. These changes often are associated with significant business strategy, revisions, internal structure, and the processes, and even corporate culture to support the new strategic direction. What are types of transformation? There are three types of transformation. One is improved transformation. Second one is strategic transformation. Third one is corporate self-renewal transformation. Improved operation is improving cost, improving development time, and improve at the same time improving quality of products and services. Strategic transformation is just to regain or attain a sustainable competitive edge over competition by redefining business objectives, establishing new strengths, and tying these capabilities to meet market opportunities. Corporate self-renewal, to anticipate and adapt to change such that a strategic and operational gap does not develop. What are some of the processes of transformation, organizational transformation? Processes. There are around 6 processes. One is mobilize executive leadership, change agent. Change as the top is more fruitful in a given organization because the top managers are owners of the resources. Second point is translate strategy into tangible and manageable terms. This is prepare a plan of action and communicate it to employees who will be involved in its implementation. The third organizational process of organizational transformation is align business and support units. That means creating metric or performance indicators must be clearly indicated. And that by using performance indicator, you need to measure output of each core processes. The fourth process is motivate teams for effective implementation. Good performance must be rewarded. The fifth one is strive for perfection. Perfection doesn't come overnight. It is repeating the 5 strategic process. What are these 5 strategic processes? One is first setting goals. Clear goal must be identified. Situation must be analyzed. Appropriate method of implementing that change must be designed. That identified change must be implemented. And the success or failure of that change must be monitoring. To establish this 5-step strategic process enable us to establish mindset of striving for perfection in every section of the organization. What are some of the natures of organizational change? One nature is, the only thing constant is change in this world. Change is inevitable and it's imperative. Organizational change takes place because of internal and external forces. The effect of change in one part of the organization creates fundamental changes in the rest part of the organization. This change could be steadily and eventually. The effect of change in various sections of the organization takes place in varying degree and rate. Why this varying degree and rate? Depending on the organizational culture. Some organizations invite change. Some organizations really oppose the change. Dear students, what are some of the perspectives of organizational change? You can find on page 12 to 14 module prepared by Guerrilla International Summary. For your further understanding, please read this part very carefully. What are some of the factors leading to organizational change? One is internal factor. That means the management policy of the organization, the management style of that organization, system of administration of the organization, procedures used in that organization, even the employee attitude. All these things are internal environmental factors which lead organization for change. The other point is about external environment, political condition, social condition, legal and international and labor market of the environment affect or pushes the organization for change. So you have to know these factors leading to organizational change could be internal and external. Second point is about models of organizational change. Basically, there are two models of change. One is Curtis-Lewis model of change, and second point is planning model. According to Curtis-Lewis, there are three phases of change process which can enable the organization to move from the current state to the desired state. These three phases of the Curtis-Lewis change are unfreezing, changing, and refreezing. Unfreezing, the situation is making the employees aware and prepared for the proposed change. Okay? This one, unfreezing the situation, means making the employees aware and prepared for the change. Change must not come as a surprise to the organization. If change happens suddenly, then it would be socially destructive. Second phase is change or moving to the new condition. This one is redefinition of behavior patterns. That means ready to accept such change. The third one is refreezing. New behavior adopted as a normal way of life. Therefore, this three-stage of model is unfreezing is creating a sense a change is needed. Changing is moving towards a new and desired behavior. Moving towards new and desired behavior. This is changing. Refreezing is setting this behavior as the new normal. That means internalizing the change. Another writer really put this three stages in three ways. Unfreezing is ensure that employees are ready for change. Change is execute the intended change. Refreeze is ensures that the change become permanent. Second model is, as I had said earlier, there are two models of change. One is Curtis-Lewis model of change. Second one is planning model. This planning model possesses 7 steps to change. One is exploration. Second one is entry. Third is diagnosis. Fourth one is planning. The first one is action implementation. The sixth is stabilization and evaluation. The other point is, the last point is what we call termination. What we call it about exploration. Exploration is identifying areas where change is required. In a given organization, at a time, different division may require change. So, which area is more important in order to bring change? Second point is dealing with certain expectations. What we expect from that change must be clearly identified. The other point is diagnosis. Identification of specific goals toward this improvement. What are some of the specific goals that leads us toward this improvement? The first point is planning. It is designing strategies to handle resistance to change. That means resistance is normal when change occurs. Therefore, we have to be able, in order to handle that change. Therefore, we have to plan how we are going to handle this change. The first point is action implementation, that is executing the change. The sixth point is stabilization and evaluation. We have to just recheck the implementation of the change, and we have to evaluate to see whether there is a gap, whether we have achieved the planned goal or not. And the final point is what we call it termination. Termination is if the intended change is constructively executed, then we can terminate that change. But if the proposed change is not fruitful, we have to repeat this step. This is what we call it termination. Second point is about communicating change. Why communication is important? Why we need communication? One thing is to pay adequate attention. To whom? To diverse interests, power, relationship, and actions that may create resistance to the proposed change. People are different in terms of interest. People are different in terms of the power. People are different in terms of relationship. People are different in terms of the action. So we have to convince these people in order to have shared idea about the proposed change. Second, to make people understand inevitability of the changes. To make people understand the inevitability of the changes and the best way of coping or serving with the change. Change is inevitable. No one escapes from that change. Therefore, what we have to do is we have to try to identify best way of coping or serving with that change. Third, to ensure people share similar values and are aware of what actions are appropriate to these values. People should develop shared values. If shared values are developed, we can take shared or well understood actions in order to bring change in that organization. To have consistency in action and words, communication of change is required. To bring what? Consistency in words and action. So, reading assignment is communicating change, most communication mistakes, methods and theories of communicating change, and role of top management in communicating change under page 21 to 27 in the module. You can read very carefully this part. The fourth one is process of change management. Change in organization can be planned or reactive. Planned change is intentionally designed and implemented, whereas reactive change caused due to unknown factors and happen as a response to sudden surprise. So this change management process can be logically divided into 4 processes. One is identify clarification of roles and expectation for change. People in a given organization should get clear roles they are expected to play in order to achieve the proposed change. And the expectation from the change must be clearly introduced. Second, identify priorities of the change. What are some of the priorities of the change? We have to just identify that point. Another point is the purpose of change is to bring organizational development. So we have to plan for that. So planning the OD, organizational development activities, to address the identified priorities. Fourth point is change management, implementing and evaluation. How can we control change management? How can we control this change management process? One, preparation for change. That means identifying required change, determining major concerns and issues of the change, obstacles, risks, causes of the change, reasons for the change. We have to just clearly define for our followers about this, why change happen. Second, building a vision, formulating clear vision, helping people in identifying what is involved in change and the way to manage the change. Third point is plan the change, developing appropriate strategy for the introduction of change. How do you just introduce this change? Orally, face-to-face, through television, through radio, through newspaper. So introduction of the change method must be clearly identified. The other point is implementing the change. Change must be implemented and recorded. Progress must be recorded and gap must be identified and resistance to be overcome. Monitoring and reviewing change, assessing progress as compared to the targets, ensuring the achievement of the desired results, determining the success of the project, and monitoring how the stakeholders perceive the change situation. When you monitor and review your change, what you have to do is we need to assess progress. You have to compare this progress, the actual, with the target. Not only this, we have to ensure that the desired results are achieved or not. Not only this, we need to determine the success of the project, and we need to monitor how stakeholders perceive the change situation. Activities contributing to effective change management are: one is motivating change. That means creating readiness for change. Second one is creating a vision. That means describing core ideology, constructing the envisioned future. Third one is developing political support, assessing change agent power. Who are the key stakeholders? Who influencing stakeholders must be involved here. The fourth one is managing the transition, activity planning, commitment planning, management structure are managing the transition. The last point is about activities contributing to effective change management is sustaining momentum. Sustaining momentum. This is providing resources for what? For change. Building support system for change agent. Developing new competencies and skills. Staying the course. If we motivate change, if we create vision, if we develop political support, if we get managing this transition, if we are sustaining momentum, then effective change management could occur. Another issue is about this resistance to change. Resistance to change represented attitude and behavior that reflects the change process. How people resist change? By delaying or slowing down its beginning, obstructing or hindering its implementation, and increasing its cost. This is the way how people reflect the resistance for change. In this resistance for change, there are two forms of change. The one is implicit, another one is explicit. Implicit is show disagreement, strikes, no meeting deadlines, increased employee turnover. Explicit is loss of loyalty, lower of moral, absence, avoidance, law of tolerance. How to overcome this resistance to change? You better to read module prepared by Galina International Seminary, page 42 to 46. What are some of the reactions to change? Reasons for why people resist change. One is procure self-interest. People resist change. One is procure self-interest. What does this mean? Fear of implication of change for themselves. Fear of loss of power, status, money, and etc. Second reason for why people resist change is misunderstanding and the lack of trust. Not understand the actual reasons and the benefit of the change, and the mistrust of change in the initiator. You see, when people lack adequate information about the change and why this change is occurred and what is the benefit of that change, people may resist that change. The other point is when they have a kind of mistrust of change initiator. The other point is low tolerance to change. Some people do not adapt to change by the very nature of their personality or feel that they cannot cope with the changes that will affect them. So low tolerance by nature, some people do not want to easily adopt their what we call it the change. The other point is different assessment of the situation. This condition arises when initiators of the change and individuals affected by disagree on the reasons for the change and advantages and disadvantages of the change process. Again, I advise you to read major sources of organizational resistance, consequences and overcoming resistance to change on page 39 to 46, which is prepared by Galila International Seminary. The other issue is about implementing change. To implement our change, one thing is understanding about what is change itself, why that change, how is that change are important to implement the proposed change initiatives. Before we are going to implement our change, we have to know what is change, why is change, how is change, what tells about the actual change, why is about the goal that we are expected to achieve, how is the methodologies that we are expected to use in order to implement the change. The other point is change approaches. These change approaches deal with resistance to change. Techniques to overcome these changes are, one is educating and communicating people. People must be educated and they have to be what we call it communicated. Another point is participation and involvement. Participation is an opportunity given to employee to participate in the decision-making process. When people are involved in making decision, there is a possibility of making that decision their own self, and they will create a kind of sense of ownership for the change. Another point is involvement. Involvement is level of employee contribution toward this organization success. Everyone has something to contribute for your change, for the change. Therefore, we have to just make, or we have to give chance for individuals to be involved on that decision. The other point is facilitation and support. Facilitation is bringing all kind of necessary input or creating healthy environment. Support is filling a gap when there is a kind of failure of an individual in order to accomplish that change. Negotiation is bargaining. Agreement is coming to the consensus in order to bring a kind of change. The other point is, again, what I advise you is to read the module which is prepared by Guerrilla International Seminary, that is Models, Techniques and Frameworks of the Change Implementation, page 47 to 57. The other issue is strategies for implementing change. Those who are leading or organizing change needs to invest time and effort in actually establishing and defining what changes are needed, what outcome will be, and what risks and disruption might take place. When we implement change, what change itself, we have to define that thing. What will be the outcome of that change? We need to clearly explain, introduce for our followers. What risks and disruption could occur? Again, we have to just make it clear for the audience. So, things to be understood while selecting a strategy for implementing change are, again, a kind of reading assignment for you. Very important issue, that is degree of resistance. The degree of resistance could vary from people to people. The other point is target population. Another point is time frame. Another point is expertise. Another point is stakes. So you have to just clearly, to get adequate information about this issue, you have to read the book which is given to you. Types of change management practices. These practices are normative, re-educative strategy. Another point is rational empirical strategy. The other point is action-centered strategy. The other one is power coercive strategy. Concerning with the normative, re-educative strategy, changing the norms, attitudes, and the values of the individual will lead to changes in behavior. So, change in behavior is an overt behavior. Norms, attitudes, and values are covered behavior. So, behavior is the reflection of norms, attitudes, and values. Rational empirical strategy deals with rationality of the people to embrace change for their self-interest. Power coercive strategy is people comply with change when it is enforced by the top management of the organization. Action-centered strategy is focus on problem solving and managing the change implication. Reading assignment is again factors affecting the choice of change strategy, formulating and facilitating change and implementing change. This can be found from page 61 to 67, module prepared by Guerrilla International Seminary. Another issue is about leading change. Change leaders are role models, and the behavior that they demonstrate directly affects the level to which employees support or resist the proposed change. Change leaders are role models, we said. So these people, the way how they demonstrate their behavior directly or indirectly affect the level to which employees support or resist the proposed change. So strategic leadership is well capable to predict the essential alteration and the changes in advance, create required commitment, highly suitable atmosphere for workers, and teams to understand and adopt this change successfully. Let me repeat it again. Strategic leadership is well capable in what? In predicting the essential alteration and changes in advance. They are well capable to create required commitment. They are well capable to create highly suitable atmosphere for workers. They are well capable to create teams to understand and adapt these changes successfully. So good managers try to keep things under control. Real change leaders are determined to shake things up. So the basic difference between good managers and leaders, change leaders, are good managers try to maintain the organization, procedure, practices, system of work, culture as it is. Whereas leaders always shake things up. So the leader is clear about what he intends to do professionally as well as personally. And he also carries the strength to persist even in case of setbacks or failures. Unless you know where you are going and why, you cannot possibly get there. May I repeat it again? Unless you know where you are going and why, you cannot possibly get there. This is the character of not good managers, but it is a character of good leaders. Good leaders know where they go and why and where they arrive. There are three basic ingredients of leadership. One is guiding vision. These people have a capacity to develop guide vision. Another point is passion. Passionate leaders are fully engaged and committed to achieve their goals while helping others achieve theirs. Integrated is another characteristic of basic leaders, ingredients of the leaders. Integrity is being honest. Leaders need to be honest, they have to be trustworthy, and they have to be reliable. Three areas of focus for leaders that are different from the focus of the managers will come up. I will come next after a rest, next section. So this video lecture is presented by Galila International Summary. The next point will be about the focus of leaders and focus of managers. Thank you very much.